Ever heard of seduction laws? These are usually laws that, ideally, protected a woman from being taken advantage of emotionally. So as some would-be suitor who was more interested in a roll in the hay than in marriage, this meant that he couldn't go and take advantage of some naive little girl who didn't know any better. As great as all this sounds, I am more than sure that feminists will be quick to point out that this is inherently a sexist thing to do because it assumes that women are not emotionally and logically grounded enough to make decisions based on clear, rational thinking, and instead can often be easily manipulated and deceived when it comes to matters of the heart. While I agree with this myself, my only complaint is that for most feminists, shortly after saying this, laser-guided amnesia is bound to kick in as a feminist will progress into the future by going back to the past and demanding that some law like this be established to go and protect women from predatory men who only want to pump them and then dump them, but that, of course, is an argument for another time. As for right now, I can't help but think that, much like for women who are being protected from being stuck with some ne'er-do-well's bastard child, men can actually go and use some of that themselves since the law seems to be favoring women in every single aspect of life there is, except for when it comes to responsibility. Then in which case you can just pin all that on the man and then just take away any privileges and benefits he might have gotten out of the deal because society hates women, don't you know? Also, while I would like to think that not all men are so stupid as to let their little head do all the thinking for them, I will admit that I have been young once, and didn't make the world's best decisions thanks to being a horny teen. The point, though, is that, as often the case, you first have to be young and stupid before you can be old and wise. And in today's climates where women can invoke time rape no anytime they want, "Hey, do you remember that last time where I agreed to have sex with you? Well, my boyfriend just called me and wants to get back together, so now I retroactively revoked my consent to sex, so as not to look like a whore, so you're going to have to take it up for the ass for the next couple of years as you get raped in prison. Tee-hee!" It would really help men not to completely destroy their lives by having a safety net to catch them when they inevitably screw up, because if women should be protected from some oversexed man who just wants a quick fuck, then by logic, should not men be protected from women who just want a piggy bank to dip into anytime they want without first having to make any contributions themselves or even be expected to act like a halfway decent person because, hey, it's not like she is going to lose anything from a divorce. In fact, she stands to benefit greatly from it. So why not act like a diva and then tout out the victim card the minute things don't go a woman's way? Because, hey now, the woman is always the victim here, even if the guy was the one having ashtrays thrown at him and having his face heavily disfigured with scratches. And so what if he was the one who called the police? Primary aggressor laws for the win. Seriously though, just think about it. When a man is dating his girlfriend and his girlfriend accidentally lets her towel fall and then just happens to let herself get talked into sex, and of course, don't be silly. Today is totally her safe day and she's on the pill and you're wearing a rubber, only, surprise! One or two little white lies may have been told somewhere in those statements, but even so, who cares? Only men can go and be rapists by deceit, you silly little thing. So now go and marry her and support her and her kid for as long as you live, because having to work 16-hour days in exchange for sex whenever she wants it, or feel that you have finally done enough to earn it, is totally fair. Also, just think of those 35-year-old women whose looks are starting to fade and now got baby rabies thanks to squandering their reproductive years, all in the goal of climbing the corporate ladder and trying to please a bunch of uncaring bosses and faceless stockholders. They want a baby and a supporting husband big time. So of course it's completely fair that they're going to pussy bomb you and engage in the most serpentine humping you've ever seen, all in the hopes of roping you in and making sure that they are going to be two providers for the benefit of her kid. As for where you fit in all of this, well, that really doesn't matter. You work at a good paying job, and as long as you're willing to hand over more than 80% of your paycheck to your wife and kid, what you do afterwards is your business as long as you're not seeing some other woman, because that would be depriving your wife of some much needed resources. Come home, watch TV, eat, sleep, and when you get up in the morning, go and perform your duty as a walking, talking automaton that just happens to spit out money. This is totally fair. After all, it benefits a woman, so it must be. And besides which, you can throw gay people off buildings or murder a bunch of dirty niggers if you want to. And that's all fine and well, because society is only judged by how it treats its women. And, besides which, it's all for the benefit of the baby, and if the mother happens to go and attach herself to it like some kind of parasitic leech to get free housing, free food, free transportation, and an easier lifestyle in general, all at someone else's expense, of course, then that's okay too, because who do you think you are telling the parasite what they can and cannot do? Don't you know you're replaceable? If not you, then some other dimwit will be more than willing to cough up money nonstop just to be in the same presence of someone who is literally nothing more than a drain on their time, resources, and patience. I mean, it's not like we can go and create some kind of seduction law that would protect men from such predatory advances of desperate, lonely, or just outright greedy women. I mean, that would be silly. If such a law were to exist, that would mean that most women would end up suffering because they could no longer just rope a dope to go and provide for them and have them act like a self-propelled dildo that shoots out money instead of cum. I mean, women would have to be self-sufficient and actually have to develop personality and would actually have to be nice to the men that are supporting them and would actually have to have characteristics beyond mere appearances and owning of a JJ. I mean, can you really think of such a world existing? That would be misogynistic. I mean, men have all the privileges in society, and women have none. So being a woman is a lot harder than it is to be a man. I mean, think about it. After a hard day of being told that you're a victim and having everyone bend over backwards to suit your every little whim, no matter how narrow-minded or overly paranoid it may be, such as icebergs being sexist against women, and Valentine's Day is inherently sexist despite, the entire holiday being centered around the woman instead of couples. And of course, who could go and forget about the men who take up so much space on the subways? I mean, it's not like they're tired or they're just inconsiderate and simply don't care about how much room they take up. No. They're all exerting patriarchal power to intimidate those weak, helpless women because, as we all know, women would never dare speak up to or against a random man that was doing something that bothered them. Putting in place seduction laws to protect men, how anti-woman can you get? I mean, it's not like we can really expect women to be able to support their own self and take responsibility for messing it up now without giving them the choice of getting a government-approved manservant to make their every waking existence easier now. I mean, it's not like they're men now. Women have got it rough, and we need to treat them like children with tits because that is essentially what they are. Yeah, we say they can do it all and be it all and are in fact better than the men they mistreat and abuse, but come on now. We know that it's all horseshit, but if you go against this and continue to insist otherwise, then you are a terrible person who is essentially a mass-murdering German dictator who hoards people into showers and then gasses them. I mean, what's next? Telling some diesel dyke-looking tranny that she isn't really a man, but rather a psychologically damaged woman who believes that her personal wants and desires trumps reality and basic biology in general, or that we shouldn't give liposuction to an anorexic who believes that she is still too fat? How much of an oppressive shitlord are you anyway?